Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
The system is down.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show 1 minute at a time in excruciating detail. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly.
And I'm your other host, Leandra.
And today we're discussing minute 83 of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Give it up for minute 83.
Woohoo!
Yeah! I took my top off. You guys couldn't see it. All right. Leandra, fill us in on what happens in minute 83.
Well, when we last left our intrepid heroes, they were being summoned to the pool. As Frank continues his siren song, the 4 floor show dancers enter the pool one by one, starting with Janet, then just about at the same time Rocky and Brad, and then Columbia. Once they're all in the pool, they swim to Frank, who is still floating in the Titanic tube, and thus begins a very dangerous orgy. Rocky swims under everyone to get to Janet, and Frank is getting sucked on by Columbia, not sucked off, and Brad has started tonguing Frank's pearl necklace. Janet looks like she's going over to Brad for a kiss, but seeing that he's a bit busy, turns to share a passionate, open-mouthed kiss with Columbia. But Kelly, you know who's really hard through this moment?
Who?
Dr. Scott, because he's a statue still.
Also me.
It's you. It's always you. It's always been you. The camera switches to a shot of Dr. Scott. He's still a statue. And there's a pause, and then a close-up of the De-Medusa switch, which pulls of its own volition to revive Dr. Scott. He says, "Ach, we've got to get out of this trap," which pans to Brad smiling underwater, blissfully ignorant of, I guess, this monologue. Dr. Scott continues, "Before this decadence saps our will, I've got to be strong and try to hang on, or else my mind..." And to remind the audience that we're missing a good orgy for this monologue, we quickly pan back to the pool to see more underwater tumbling with a floating shoe in the foreground. We see Dr. Scott again, and he says, "May well snap, and my life will be lived." And Dr. Scott pauses, shocked, and moves his blanket to show that he's wearing fishnet and heels as well, and then pulls his right leg up to say, "For the and we don't know what that word actually is because it doesn't end this minute.
Excellent recap. Here's a question.
Okay.
How much consciousness do the characters have while they're Medusa'd? It has to be some, because they don't, continue where they left off from, Rocky Horror Hot Dog, which is not a song in its own right in the movie, but you know what I'm saying? They don't, they were all Medusa'd.
Sure.
Janet was mid-syllable, and so it's clearly not like they were frozen. So does that mean they were able to think? Or do they just, come back? Because that would be horrifying. It begs the question, are some of those, random background statues conscious, or...
Well, if they are just Medusa'd creatures from other planets where they're much larger than us, then yeah, I would assume.
That was shady, but fair.
No, I'm
Yeah,
referring to, remember when...
No, I know. I forgot that they're significantly larger than a human size, but yes.
Not all of them, though. Not all of them.
Okay, that's fair. And Mittens was a real creature.
Mittens
who is not conscious. He's dead.
Yeah, but he wasn't a statue. He was taxidermy.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Mittens is dead. Anyway.
Mittens is dead to begin with.
Oh, man. Anyway. We should do a Rocky Horror Christmas Carol, but that doesn't matter.
We should.
Now, so yeah, what do you think?
What was the question?
Are they conscious while Medusa'd? Or I guess another possibility is that they're not conscious at the time, but they don't wake up they're not frozen and they wake up in the middle of what they were doing. They just wake up and they're like, huh? What? They were just normal unconscious. And
so kind of entering the good place There's a reset. You wake up, your eyes open, and you're just sitting in a waiting room waiting for somebody to say you're in the good place, but it's a statue.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but like, I mean, we're getting way too much into it now, but like, did they learn these dances or was that part of the Medusa process? All of their mental states seem to have been a little altered.
Or at least excited.
Yeah. Scott's the only one who is like fully himself. And even then, things that are going to happen in the next minute are a little out of character for him, perhaps.
I mean, if we're talking about
Perhaps.
Dr. Scott being out of character, he's fucking moving his legs. So,
I mean, that's not out of character, though, and I have notes about that for the coming minutes, but as we know, he is a hypochondriac illness faker with Jagoff disease.
that is fair to note. So, really, all of this to say that it makes more sense during the Rocky Horror Show because they're not turned into statues, they're just drugged. So there's a measure of, you know, somewhat what you're doing when you're high. You might not be fully aware, but like you're cognizant
Yeah.
to some degree. So,
And yeah, and like before people come at me and are like, people sing and dance in musicals and like they're not supposed to be literally doing that. I understand that. In this moment, they are literally performing a floor show, though, you know?
yes.
So they had to have learned it somehow. I mean, I guess they could be improvising it. It certainly doesn't look that choreographed. So
I feel like you see them like kind of doing the zombie shuffle toward the pool, like with their arms outstretched before they jump in. So I feel like they're compelled to do so.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It might be just another thing we can chalk up to the somewhat supernatural abilities of the Transylvanians. Now, speaking of Dr. Scott and his Jagoff disease, I had a couple things about him. First of all, once again, we must ask, who is he talking to?
He's talking to us. He broke the fourth wall.
Yeah, I know. I guess he's breaking the fourth wall again, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he really is just kind of like, yeah, he's definitely not talking to the people in the pool unless he's stupid. And then, I said I like when he puts some Nixon on it.
Yeah. This is an amazing Dr. Scott minute because of all of his funny faces. Like the Richard Nixon jowl, but my favorite one is on Snap.
Snap!
He goes snap and then kind of tilts his head back and then shakes it kind of disapprovingly, but like in a very goofball sort of way. It's really a delight to see when Dr. Scott's get all of the gooberness out of playing that role. It is one of the very fun roles that you can play if you're on a shadow cast, but it's also one that I don't think people put a lot of thought into all the time. Some people do, but not everyone.
Yeah, I really appreciate the silliness of Dr. Scott. I always say that of the like kind of smaller roles, he like seems like the most fun to play. I've never played him actually, except in Hat Knights. Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what word he Nixons. Says we've got to get out of this place before this decadence saps our wills.
It's on.
Is it?
It's on. Hang on.
I've got to be strong and try to hang on.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
He goes and try to hang on.
Yeah, so that's great. My final question about Scott in this minute is, did he just notice the heels at this point?
That's what I assume. Like, it seems like he at first is shocked and then reveals his leg and he's like, I'm wearing fishnets? How did they even do that?
Yeah, and that would imply that they were not conscious during the Medusa-ing.
I would assume that that is correct. And
yeah.
I'm also going to assume that another bit of proof that Dr. Scott is perhaps not a wheelchair user by need, the fact that that his legs look super fucking toned in those fishnets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will be clear that there are reasons you can be in a wheelchair other than your legs not working,
Yeah.
but it is well established that Dr. Scott can move his legs. Just like that is not up for debate, and that is so I guess maybe he's a part-time wheelchair user. I don't know.
I mean, I get it.
I just get the feeling it's all an act for Dr. Scott specifically. If you are somebody who uses a wheelchair who is not a paraplegic or quadriplegic, please understand that I am not invalidating you, just Dr. Scott.
Yes.
'Cause, I mean, his accent is also
It's a choice.
yeah.
So I really think that Dr. Scott is just like a fucking like scam artist from the start. I don't think he's even a doctor, really.
No. I mean, at least not like a medical doctor.
No, I don't think he's a medical doctor at all.
But even like do you know of a lot of even PhDs that teach high school refresher courses?
Particularly if that PhD is supposed to be on like ufology.
Yeah. So there you go. We're Dr. Scott truthers on this podcast.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. Kelly would.
Yep. I had to think about it. I would though.
You would. I know you would.
He's not a bad looking man.
No, he's gorgeous.
Okay, well, so, crazy, but yeah.
I mean, I think that every. Let me think about that.
Yep. Yep. No, set me up. I beg you.
Every person who has been featured in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as an adult actor is somebody that you would have sex with. And I think that that is accurate.
Well, yes, because I would have sex with anyone who is famous.
But some of them, I don't know if you could call them famous.
They're all famous enough for me to fuck, I assure you.
God, that's so true.
I mean, they're all Rocky famous. I mean, that's enough for me.
That's true.
Like, even if it was like one of the lesser known Transylvanians, it would still be a huge flex.
I feel like the biggest get for Transylvanians as far as like a notch on your bedpost, I don't know, would that be Christopher Biggins as far as like having that name?
Christopher Biggins is definitely the biggest name of the Transylvanians, and it's not even close.
Okay.
He's the only one that people know for anything other than Rocky Horror, really.
I mean, fair. Yeah. Unless you're from Italy. Shout out to Fran Fullenwider fans.
Fran Fullenwider, yeah. But even then, I don't know how particularly famous she is in Italy. But the real question is, which of the Transylvanians, and I mean the characters, fucks the best?
Oh,
Character actors.
Character actors.
That's a sneak peek from our upcoming podcast, Shock Treatment Minute.
Does this bird belong to you? That's going to be what we end all of our episodes with instead of now you don't have to go home.
You're going to say it and I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs.
Yeah. It'll be great.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't know, probably Frankenfurter.
Well, sorry, I should say the non-main character Transylvanians, the convention attendees.
Oh, got it.
Yes, Frankenfurter is a given. Yeah.
Pamela Obermeyer.
Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely, hands down. That is my choice. Lock it in.
We know it's not Rufus. He has no rhythm.
True. I would almost say Imogen Clare, but like nobody with that much of a hairstyle is going to want to get on top.
That is fair. Pamela would probably be my pick too. I can't think of any that would beat her.
Yeah.
But I would beat her off. Anyway.
On, around.
Yeah. The bush, etc.
It was the 70s.
It's always the 70s in my house, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
What else you got?
What else do I have? That is a good question. Costume inconsistency. I have two things, and Sue's to marry about both of these.
Woohoo!
So, Dr. Scott's jacket, it's not on him. It's kind of laid over the back of the wheelchair. He's like wearing it almost like a cape sort of thing, if that makes sense. which I think is another indicator that he was like undressed and then redressed. And then the other one is Frank's tattoos inconsistently wash off through these takes in the pool.
I have a note about that in a future minute. Yeah. But also I'll just say it now. Yeah, they are really rubbed off, and that would never happen if he had gotten them from Deadly Sting Tattoos.
It's true.
Who is a well-known producer of the Frankenfurter like temporary tattoos. I think she might do the Eddie ones too.
I don't recall if she does. For a while she was also a wig stylist, and I loved her work then. Jen DiMatteo absolutely just does kick-ass work. You can find her on Etsy at Deadly Sting Tattoos.
Yeah. Everyone I know in the Rocky community that uses like temporary tattoos for Frank gets them from her. Those things stay on. Let me tell you, as somebody who has tried to get one off in a hurry, it's not easy. Anyway, Jen, now you have to sponsor our podcast because we endorsed you, no takebacks.
Yeah, that's exactly how that works.
Yep.
Otherwise, I think that's all of my notes. What about you?
So I just had one more thing, but I went on a little bit of a journey with this. So in the commentary during this minute, Richard O'Brien brought up again that Susan Sarandon was apparently in this scene, he said, very, very sick. And he cut off Patricia Quinn at the pass. Like, he was like, I know you don't want to have it. I know you're not having it, but we need to talk about it. And she was like, well, I'm not having it. But he went on to say, like, she was apparently like really, really, really ill during the filming of this scene specifically, which we've touched on before. But yeah, he went on and he was like, here she is once again thrown into cold water and has to come out of this water onto a cold studio to sing and dance. And he said this as though this is like a tragedy that was an act of God in which he had no hand. And I was like, yeah, you probably could have done something to give her a couple of days. I know that like production was a little bit fraught on this, not as fraught as future movies that Richard O'Brien would make, but still, I mean, surely with as sick as she was, there had to have been something they could do that wasn't like, sorry bitch, get in the pool. And I have to say, like, you can kind of see in her face, like, she looks so pale. But
she looks miserable.
But she's like really like giving energy, especially during the kick line that is to come. Spoiler alert. Considering how sick she was and the fact that she's like soaking wet and having to get in and out of a pool, that's really impressive. So yeah. Now, Patricia Quinn rebuffed this and said, well, I know it was hard, but it's all been hard, and by God it was worth it, because it's given so much pleasure to other people. And I just have to push back on that, because again, like, it's not like they couldn't make the movie if they just, like, let her recover a little bit. The flu is not, like, a long-term illness, you know? So there's that. I mean, it became a long-term illness for her because they made her push through it till she had pneumonia. But if they had just, you know what I mean? Anyway, so there's that. And then she began to cry out, one must die for one's art. She said that a couple times. And then she said her husband died playing King Lear.
Oh, God.
And that he had to go through the pissing rain on the heath. Now, that is horrible, but it is not true.
Okay.
I looked it up. So Patricia Quinn was married twice. Her first husband, Don Hawkins, is still alive, so we're not talking about him. And as I suspected, she was talking about Sir Robert Stevens, the one that conferred upon her title. She was married to him for like less than a year. He's also, if you're not aware, he's Maggie Smith's ex-husband and the father of her children. So Patricia Quinn is their stepmother. Anyway, he did die he played King Lear very famously and to great acclaim. Apparently, he's one of the great Lears, but that was 2 years before he died. And he died of surgical complications, so definitely not during, definitely not while performing anything. And also, so like that is one thing. Now he was ill for a few years before he died, so I have to assume she meant his liver and kidney diseases were happening during that production.
Yeah.
He was not acutely ill, though, as far as I know. And I really don't know what she was talking about going through the pissing rain on the heath, because I found production stills, just to confirm, it was not an outdoor show.
Like, I know that there's this entire bit at the end where Lear is walking through the rain, so I don't know, did they have indoor rain?
I mean, well, so that's the thing. That does happen, and maybe they used a bit of water, but I don't know. It was not like he was outside in the rain. Outside.
What's it like when you're outside in the rain?
I know. We should do a callback about this now.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing King Lear. and then dying of surgical complications 2 years later. Anyway. She also, she was not married to him at the time that he played King Lear, so the whole thing is weird, but I don't know. So I looked at production stills. I saw things that looked like, it did not look like water was used in the show, at least not heavily. So my theory now is that Lady Pat was tricked by this and thought that the show was real. And perhaps when King Lear dies at the end, she thought that was real as well.
Yeah. Pat.
So.
Yeah. Pat, if you're listening to this, just to let you know,
which I'm sure she is,
you are always welcome to come onto our show and set the record straight, and you can say all of the things that we say are wrong, because they probably are, and we will apologize, absolutely, and kiss the ring, obviously.
That is so true, and it will be huge exposure for you to come on this show. It'll be great for your career, so I highly recommend it.
Be careful, people die of exposure.
Yeah, whilst performing.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, oh yeah, maybe that's why they call it dying of exposure. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Anyway, now I tried, because this had me thinking, where the fuck was the Union? Or maybe Susan Sarandon just didn't want to invoke them. I tried to find out, if she was a member of the Union at this point. I have to assume she was, because this was a major production and that's usually required. I could not find information on when she joined SAG, but I tried. What I did find out in trying to find that out, though, is that Susan Sarandon is bisexual. I don't know if you knew this, Leandra. It was news to me. She came out in 2017.
Yeah. I knew that, and I was like, oh, that's nice for her. I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's nice for all of us.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Susan Sarandon. Here's to you. I'm glad you survived filming the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And you are welcome to call me, or if you want to reach out to me through a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that's okay too.
Yeah, you are also welcome on the podcast, and we will kiss the ring.
Yes,
we'll kiss a lot of things.
No, I mean, we will deign to let you come on our podcast. But here's the thing: when I talk about fucking a woman who is that much older than me, I say, yeah, I'd break her hip. But in this case, I'm sure Susan Sarandon's hips are in much better shape than mine, so she can break my hip.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of aggression. I guess.
No, I mean, just through fucking. I didn't mean she could beat me up.
Sure. I didn't think that you were going to join a fight club with Susan Sarandon, Kelly. I knew that this was a sex.
In a heartbeat, I would.
Susan, any takers?
Jesus Christ. That's all I have.
Uh, Same. What callbacks do you have?
Not too many. There's some that are kind of throwaways that I didn't bother with, but the big one that I always think of for this minute would be when they're all getting in the pool. That you say last one in the pool has to be in the sequel, because of the 4 floor show characters, only Little Nell is actually in shock treatment, and she is the last one to get in the pool. So that's a little fun thing. Now, Brad and Janet, the characters, are in shock treatment, if you weren't aware, but they're played by different actors.
What?
I know, and it is the great Cliff DeYoung and the possibly even greater Jessica Harper.
Oh my goodness, wow. I had no idea. I can't wait until somebody does a podcast where they talk about this.
I know. Jessica Harper, also welcome in my bed or in my fight club. But when Dr. Scott said, I have to be strong, you say, like a good condom, and try to hang on like a good condom. And then the only other one I had written down was, before he says, for the thrills, you can say, why do you masturbate?
Nice.
Yep, very nice. It's awesome.
So the callbacks I have, before last one in the pool that has to be in the sequel, you say first one in gets a career.
I haven't heard that before. I like it.
When Brad is
because the first one in is Susan Sarandon, we should say.
Oh, that is a good clarifier. No, it's Peter Hinwood. No.
He did get a career, just not an acting career.
Yes.
By choice.
Absolutely. 100% by choice and only by choice.
Mm-hmm.
Next one up, when Brad is tonguing the necklace on Frank's neck, you can say wrong balls, Brad. Because it's the pearls. He's licking the pearls.
Yeah.
When Dr. Scott wakes up or is demedused, he goes, ah, and then you go, tooey, because it's like he's sneezing. And then we've got to get the fuck out of this trap. And then you say, and into that pool. Before this decadence. And then you say, yay, decadence. And then he says, saps our will. And you go, yay, sap. And there's, you said I've got to be strong like a good condom should and try to hang on like a good condom should. On Maywell Snap, the final bit of that is like a lifestyle's will.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Nor am I familiar with the brand.
It is, I believe, lifestyle condoms are like the cheapest ones.
I wouldn't know. Don't use condoms. Raw only.
Good to know, Susan.
Just kidding.
Good to know, Pat. Good to know, Jessica.
Yeah. No, the Fight Club, yeah, well, so they're all welcome to fuck me. The Fight Club is for Janet's only, though. So.
Janet's only fighting.
Go on.
Going back a bit to Or Else My Mind, right after that happens, on the screen you see this shoe floating by and you go, my shoe. And then instead of why do you masturbate, if you want to make it all about doing shadow casting, which I don't know, some people do, you go, why do we keep coming here month after month? It's for the thrills. Or the counter to that is, because I'm dumb. And that's all I have.
I love it.
Yeah.
Same time next minute.
Absolutely. And shout out to Petra, who reminded me that Kelly needs to christen our new performance space by deep-throating my cane. And unfortunately, Petra is right. That does need to happen in our new beautiful performance space.
Yeah, and just in general.
Yeah. No. Wait, no.
Now, you don't
Have to go home, but you can't stay here, so get the fuck out.
To the late night double feature picture show.
The system is down. The system is down. The system is down. The system is down.